You're listening to God Can I Hold a Dollar, the podcast brought to you from Reset Budgeting and Financial Coaching with Janine Victor McDade, owner and principal consultant. The podcast that bridges real-world conversations, no shame, no shade, and the word of Christ all in one. Hello, Resetters. Happy Thursday to you. Dropping another podcast. I'm actually sitting in traffic and I was like, you know what? Now would be an amazing time to talk to the people. And we're going to talk about 401s today, particularly 401ks. Now, there are lots of different retirement accounts, lots of different employee funded retirement accounts out there that may not take on the actual term of 401k. So when I speak about 401ks, I'm really talking about employee funded retirement accounts. So not pensions or not any type of accounts where your employer is doing the funding, but accounts that you are responsible for. So specifically 401ks are accounts that are generally created or offered by your employer with their designated provider. So if you're familiar with Fidelity or Vanguard or Empower or, different companies like that, employers usually partner with a financial partner, right? So they let them know that they're going to give them their business, and this is the provider that is responsible for maintaining the retirement accounts for their employees. If you have like a TSP account or thrift savings, if you have something a little different, just take this information for what it is and don't get hung up on the term at this point. But I'm going to talk specifically about, for example, my 401k. Now, I used to work it and, had the organization that welcomed our new hires and made sure that they were oriented to the company, made sure that they, took care of all of their obligations and what have you. And one of the things that I would talk to the new hires about was about the 401k offerings at this particular company. And it would just pain my heart. It would just make me so sad because we had interns. We also had, folks that were pretty new in their career. Maybe this was their first or second job. And they would ask to reduce their 401k contributions to zero. Now, these are people that are in their very early 20s, and I get it. Now, in this particular situation, there was an opportunity to, contribute, and a lot of plans will automatically opt you in. 6% is a percentage I've seen before. And, some of our younger folks would be like, hey, can I reduce this to zero? And being in that position, being an employee of the company, someone that's not responsible for financial advice or anything of that nature in my role at the company, there was nothing I could say to detract folks when they made the ask. Now, what I would do when I was explaining the benefits and the things that were, extended to employees when they joined, I would say, here is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of time. Here's a great opportunity if you are, very far from retirement to be able to take advantage of the stock and the investments that are connected to this account. Being that where I worked was a tech company, even now, tech investments do very well, and the investment mix absolutely included that. So if you are someone that's listening to this podcast, if you know someone that's listening to this podcast and they're early in their career, early in their 20s, even your 30s, time is something that you cannot buy. It is the most valuable commodity that we have, and it is absolutely a valuable commodity when it comes to your financial investing. When you have time, you can invest and you can stand to lose some dollars because you have the time to gain those dollars back. When you are early in your career, like for example, I used to work for one of the major telecom companies for a very long time. And I did not start investing in my 401k until I think I was late 20s, maybe early 30s. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm so glad that I did. Very glad that I did. The time that you have for those small amounts of money, think about it, 6% of your overall paycheck. It's not much. Now, when you're 20 and what have you, it can feel like that, right? You're not a high earner most of the time starting your career. It can feel that way. I get it. But man, the benefits for you later, because there will be a later for y'all that are listening and you may be in my age range, right? That later ain't that far away, right? It's not that far away anymore. There will be a later for you. Imagine the amount of time between if you are 20, 25, 26 to retirement age, which nowadays folks are really taking to like 70, 67, 72. Imagine the amount of time your money has to compound and grow. Man, my formula for my 401k. So always, always, always check to see if your 401k has a company match option. So I think that's what made me be like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out. I'm missing the boat and I'm leaving money on the table. So let me hurry up and, join join my 401k because it is optional. But look and see if your employer has a company match. Now, my former employer, the company match was for the amount of money. So whatever amount of money you decide that you're going to contribute, it could be 2%, 5%, 3%, 10%, whatever you feel comfortable. And that is per check. 80% of what I put in would be matched up to 6%. That sounds real convoluted, right? Like I know it sounds like a lot. So to break that down, if I put in $100, right? So let's say my contribution was $100. Well, in this particular case, if I put $100 in my 401k, let's say that's my contribution for this paycheck, then my employer would take $80 of that. So 80% of what I actually put in, and they would match 6% of that amount, which was like $4.80. Now that's a pretty low amount. It can get a little confusing. Please ask questions. Please book the time with the financial resources at your companies if you're not clear. Now, you might say, man, that ain't a lot of money. Well, it may not be on the surface, but it is extra money, even if it's a couple of dollars. It's extra money that you're not having to account for. It's extra money your employer is putting into your account. And it may not feel very significant, but I was there for 16 years. Now, I missed the boat of 2 or 3 years while I was there. So think about that. That's maybe 13, 14 years. 2 paychecks a month for 14 years. Those little dollars, they add up. Now I'm in a situation, and honestly, where I am now, the benefit package is amazing. As you get older and settled in your career, the money is important, but you'll be looking at the benefits. The benefits make a difference. I know some people that are paying $700 a month in their premiums for their medical and their dental and their vision, not because they're still getting their insurance from their employer, but the money that they have to contribute to their employer to, help offset costs, depending upon the size of the family, depending upon the program or the package that the employer has chosen, $700 a month. Like that's crazy. I'm not going to name one of the employers I know that's charging people that, but it's crazy. So that's a little side note. Like when you are looking at it for a job or you are considering a job, no matter how old you are, look at those benefit packages, get an idea of how much money is going to be coming out of your check per paycheck per month to offset some of your medical costs, your medical, dental, vision, what have you. When I was laid off, from my former employer, laid off for about 5 months, which gave me the time, the space, and the energy to stand up reset budgeting and financial coaching. until I found another job, eventually. The job that I have now, one of the first things that I looked at was their benefit package. What kind of 401k plan do they have? What kind of benefits are they taking care of? What would be my out of pocket costs? What are those things that I'm going to be responsible for? Because remember, your base pay is great, but that's your base pay before taxes, before premiums, before deductions, before all of those things. So you want to be very clear on what do I need to make sure I'm taking home to meet that number in my budget, right? We talked about knowing your number. And one of the enticements of not only just being, affiliated with a really great company, I love what my company stands for. I love the people that I work with, but the 401k match, y'all, is bonkers. And that's in the best way I can possibly say. This particular company matches 45% of my contributions. So if I put in $100, they're going to put in 45. So I'm getting credit for $145 of a contribution per paycheck. That's significant. And because, I definitely got quite a few working years left in me before retirement is even a considerable viable thought in my mind. But thinking about those things and thinking about making sure that I can have a comfortable retirement, that's what it's creating for you. That's what it's creating for us. I'm going to include myself in that. It's creating opportunity and choice and decision making that you can make not based on emotion or fear or lack. It's taking a portion of the money that we are making now that we are in our working years, because there's going to be a time where you are not going to be able to work. We are not supposed to work until our last breath. We are not supposed to do that. We're supposed to work. We're supposed to take heed from the word that says store up in the storehouses. That's for us too, not just in the church. That's for us as well. And we can even take heed from our animals. They put things away for the winter. They store up. They save. They make sure that they put away resources when seasons change. It's time to sit your butt down. It's time to take a break. Can you do that comfortably? Can you make those decisions? And, there was a time not too long ago, and even now, right? I'm not at the position where if I just wanted to be like, oh, I want to not work for 6 months. No, we're not in that position right now, especially after a layoff. But I really took a note from some workers who, when the pandemic hit, and people had an opportunity to really think about their lives and what they were doing, right? Was it fulfilling? Was it something that their heart had a passion for? Because your perspective will change. The pandemic really put some things into perspective for people of how am I living my life? Is this how I want to live my life? And I took a note and a nod because there were some people that were like, I'm going to go and I'm going to be a conservationist. I want to start a business. I want to do this. And I'm not going to be tied to this job and not take advantage of the time and the years I have to do what my heart's passion is. And these are people that, obviously, apparently had enough resources stored up or resources they had access to be able to walk away from six-figure jobs. That's what these type of decisions can do for you later in life. And don't let me just, reduce this to a 401k. Do this for savings too. Do this for that emergency fund. Do this for that what if fund, whatever it is that you feel like you might want to make a priority in your life. So yes, so a couple of things about your 401k. Number one, if your employer offers a 401k, please sign up if you haven't. If you have, kudos, like clap to you. Second thing I will say is investigate if your company has a 401k match for your contributions. What is it? What is the max? So for my former employer, the max was 6%. So that's where I started. I started at 6% because I was like, well, I ain't leaving no money on the table. You gonna match 6%? Then that's where I'm gonna start is 6%. And then also plan for the future. Now, the thought is that as you remain in the workforce, As you skill up, as your experience enhances in the company that you're a part of, your income will grow. For some of us, that also includes a cost of living increase. For myself, I was very intentional about, wanting to make sure that I could increase my income, increase my options, increase my lifestyles. Keep it real. I like nice things too. And so I went back to school. I got my master's. I got a certification. I did some things and I did some investing that for me in my career course, because that doesn't always have to be the answer for everyone. In my career course, that actually helped me. It opened up doors, other opportunities, other job levels, title, all of that for me in my particular field. And so every time I got a promotion, every time I got a raise, my 401k got a raise, 1% or 2%. So generally about every year, I was increasing my 401k. I believe the maximum, please don't quote me because this could be very different depending upon the employer. The maximum that I've seen is about 15%, 15% of your paycheck. Now that's considerable. I am aiming to get to that point where 15% of every paycheck is going to my 401k and 45% of it is being matched, right? I'm working on that. I believe right now, I think I'm at 11% at this point, might be even 12. But I took a conservative approach just due to the layoff and what have you. But I'm about, 11, 12% of my check goes to 401k. This is pre-tax money. And you can definitely speak to a financial advisor about what that means for you, what that means later on. When it's time for you to retire, when it's time for you to take advantage of those funds, please reach out to a financial professional that can explain the tax implications and what that looks like. There are definitely other accounts that you can actually contribute to post-tax. I do that with my IRA so that money already gets taxed, right? Already taken care of. Benefit for me is that if I'm paying taxes on it now at what the tax rate is today, then I don't have to pay taxes on it twice. And I don't know what the tax rate is going to be in 20 years, right? God forbid is more than it is now. But that, of course, is a possibility. So there's a lot of things that you can consider when you're thinking about saving your money and saving it for later, for your years where you are choosing not to work, you don't want to work, you shouldn't have to work, that you have this nest egg that you can maintain your lifestyle, that you can decide if you want to travel, how you want to take care of your medical expenses. I know a lot of us really rely on our job's medical coverages. Those things change when you retire. For some that may be lucky and have been at their jobs a very, very long time, your job carries over and covers your medical in retirement. I'm not seeing that a lot now. So, investing in your retirement plans, especially if you are the one that's actually contributing to that plan as well, particularly if your employer is contributing, you want to think about all those things. Even if you're 20, thinking about those things early on, man, you set yourself up for such success. And I will say this, there is the ability to take a loan from your 401k. I've had to do that in hardship where this is the best option that I can rely on. I've done that in the past unwillingly because there is so much loss that comes with that immediately as well as long term when you do that. When you take a loan from your 401k, you are borrowing from your future. Whatever that amount of money is, it is no longer in that account to gain gains, right? To make money for you. So you lose out on years and time. Plus, there's a penalty. At this point in time, based on the tax code, there's a 10% penalty automatically off the bat of whatever amount that you borrow that you have to pay just because you touched it and you are not of retirement age. I think at the time it might have been like 56 or something like that. But if you are younger then the age requirement for you to be able to take your retirement dividends, you are going to get penalized, right? And if that is a $5,000 loan, off the bat, $500. And that's going to be attributed to your taxes. It is just a domino effect of loss that if you can prevent it at all costs, please do. Like for real. Let me tell you from experience. And let me tell you, my 401k, it's doing well. But I think about that loan every now and then and be like, man, this could have been a much higher amount. Who knows the amount of money I could have made off of that? But but life is life. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I get it. But I'd be remiss talking about 401ks and not mention that to y'all. All right. Okay, y'all. Next episode, we're going to dig once again into these resources that you have available to you or that you may want to investigate to make sure that we are cleaning up our expenses. We are spring cleaning our finances. We are getting our house in order, y'all. And information is power. Knowledge is key. And I will, as always, pass on everything I can to you, whether I read it, I learned it, or I lived it. All right. God bless you all. Love you. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing y'all can do about that. And I'll see you next Thursday. All right. Peace.